Hey guys, how are you doing? Good morning to everyone. Give me a second, guys. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to this space with us, right? We want to do something every morning. Set you guys all up for Monday morning in Nigeria, wherever you are. Talk about global headlines, what they all mean, and how we can understand these events that are occurring, and of course, how we can plan out our week and all that. That's what I want to do every morning on Monday mornings with me, Kalu Aja. So we're going to run through, usual the economy side and of course the politics side, if possible, and just give you a picture, unbiased, full of data, so you can essentially be a better and knowledgeable investor. That's the plan for this series that we're going to have. So I hope you guys will come back next week again as we continue, right? So let's get to it. What I want to talk about this week, I have about 7 topics I want to quickly run through, right? And they're all going to be just, I give you the news, and then we try to see what is going on with that, right? And what we can make from that with the economy, right? And again, if you're on YouTube, I'm sharing some great visuals on YouTube, yeah. Markets this week, let's start from the stock market. I looked at it. Turnover is appreciated, very, very marginal, 0.18%. Index is also there. It's kind of flat. You look at the volume going up and down, nothing really sexy happening there. It's all flat. Uh, Stocks going up are not more than the stocks that are just staying stagnant or are falling. So rather flat market, but that's understandable. It's just February. We're still getting our sea legs in. So not too surprising there what we're seeing. In terms of the fixed income market, we have the FMDQ numbers out there. I mean, this is what the big boys, the banks borrow at. So if you are borrowing 6 months in Nigeria, then about 24% NIBOR. That's what the banks are borrowing. So clearly, if you're an SME, you're going to pay more. We know MPR has not really come down substantially in Nigeria, even as inflation has come down. So clearly, we have an issue in Nigeria where we have inflation going down, but we don't see the MPR and interest rates going down to match that. So to me, that's a problem in Nigeria, if you're asking, because we want to see, should we say, the markets or the MPR rates in the markets reflect the inflation rate and also the cooling down of the economy. If the economy is really cooling down, then we should see that show up in the borrowing cost in the economy. If that's not happening, we want to ask ourselves why that's not happening. But that's just going to be the numbers that we have for you guys. That today the stock market not that sexy for now. Fixed income is still high. It's not yet reflecting what we want to see for an economy that is, disinflating, right? So let's go to the next thing we want to talk about today. That's going to be essentially, should we say, in America now, or let's still stay on the macros. I have the CBN slide put up here. MPR 27, inflation rate 15, Nigerian Treasury bill rate about 15 as well. So for the first time, I would say in a very, very long time in Nigeria's history, very, very long time, since we had since 2015, I would say, we now have real rates of return, which means that if you bought a Nigerian Treasury bill, you would make a real rate of return because T-bills are paying 15.8, inflation is about 15.15. So that's a positive for Nigeria that we've brought the inflation rate down. But again, I must stress that, we have to show that the inflation rate has come down to the borrowers of capital. So if you are a manufacturer or you're an SME guy, it doesn't make you don't really see this because this is going to be for the investors that have got cash to put into the Nigerian market. They are getting a real rate of return. But if you are borrowing from the banks to do business in Nigeria, your rates are still high. Rates are still high, nearly 30%. So you can't really celebrate that for now. If you're an investor, the market favors you kind of because now inflation has come down. And so you are making a real rate of return. But if you're a borrower, I'm not sure about that for now, right? So again, guys, if you want to speak, just let me know. We're gonna do. I'll speak about 30 minutes. I'll give you guys the time to then come back and talk about any topics you did see here that did catch your eye. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I already got some DMs. So let's just go on what we can find here, right? So that's what I'll say. If you're an investor, it's looking good for you. But if you are a borrower, not looking that fantastic for you, because we still see MPR 27%. So we hopefully the CBN will start to look at growth. We understand that the CBN's role is to manage inflation. We get that. But we can't manage inflation forever, can we, right? We can't have 0% inflation and then have 0% growth. We've got to try to go into growth. And what is growth? Growth means that we allow the SMEs a lower and cheaper form of capital so that they can invest, hire more people, and we can boost consumption in Nigeria. If we don't do that, then we're going to have this low inflation rate, but no jobs are being created. That's just my point. So the macros look good, but it's going to translate to real, should we say, stuff on the ground that we can essentially earn from. So let's talk about the main thing that I heard everyone talk about this week, which is going to be taxes. This taxing has been in our conversation. It's been in the air for the last 1 year. Mr. Idle came out last week. Mr. Taiwo Idle is the tax czar of the administration. He came out last week and said everyone has got to file a tax return by March 31st. So if you're an individual, you've got to file a tax return by March the 31st, right? If you are a corporate, I believe your tax date is going to be January 31st, 2027. So if you're an individual, you've got to file your taxes for the income you have earned in 2026 by March 31st, 2027. So of course, Twitter is ablaze, social media is ablaze. People are saying, what does filing mean? Essentially, because I've been in this field and I've been talking to people a lot because of the tax reforms, you just get the idea that lots of Nigerians really have never filed taxes before in their life. And that's just the honest truth, right? I don't think Nigerians have filed taxes in the past. If you work for a company, right, and the company pays you a salary and the company does payee, yes, you have paid taxes. The company will take away your payee and file for you. Yes, you are paying taxes. But if you look at the structure of the Nigerian economy, those guys are less than 10% of the entire working population of Nigeria, less than 10%. So what you then see is that these new tax laws are going to introduce a lot of compliance. There's a lot of, you're going to use your NIN numbers. I already see folks saying that if you want to apply for a loan or you want to apply for a government assistance, you want to do import duties, you have to show proof that you are paying taxes. So now lots of folks that have never paid taxes suddenly find themselves in a situation whereby they now have to go pay taxes. And that's what we're seeing. Folks are asking, how do I file taxes? What does filing taxes mean? What is taxable income? People don't know this. And it's going to be a big, big, big surprise in March 2027. So Mr. Taiwo has been talking, but I'm not really sure he has been communicating. That's just the way I look at it. That still, if people are asking basic questions like, where do I file a personal income tax in February 2026? That means we haven't really communicated what is to happen. In my own view, this is just me, in my own view, I think we should stop the implementation of the tax reform on the personal side. That means that on the personal side, we just continue what we've done before this tax reform, just on the personal side. But on the business side, yes, go ahead and start this new implementation because the business guys can afford to hire tax attorneys, tax advice, tax lawyers that would guide them, through this tax reform. But the individuals cannot, right? The individuals cannot. So I think we should sort of maybe pause the individual rollout of the new tax reform and then perhaps do the corporate side just so that we can catch up. I think we have to go back and do a lot of education. I'm not sure if everyone in this space understands how to file a tax, right? Or where to even file that tax, or the difference between a state inland revenue service and a federal. You see folks talking about I'm paying VAT, but they said there was no VAT on food. Or folks are saying, oh, I went to the bank and I got charged a withholding tax, but my money was less than 800K. Why are they charging me a tax? So there are lots of things we have to explain, because if you want people to comply, people have got to understand. Right now, there's a lot of fear and confusion rather than just I don't know, optimism about the tax reform. So that's just my take, right? So I think pen the personal side, educate more, and then folks can then go ahead and file. Because remember, all you can do now is to keep records. So all you can do now is keep records. If you're paying anything to anyone, keep records. That's all you can do now. So if maybe down the line there will be more compliance or more education on you, those records you've kept would help you. So don't say I won't pay. Don't say we're going to protest and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to work. This is just my personal view. I would say it's better you protest with knowledge. So if you have more knowledge about the tax reform, you can come back and say, we would like you guys to change or add this, then it makes more sense. That's what I would say. So try to keep records there about what you're earning and what you are spending, so that when the tax man comes next year, we're going to all file next year, you have that. Payee alone, if you make your payee, that doesn't guarantee that you're not going to pay more or less taxes. Pay is just like an advance, right? Your company has paid you a salary, then your company has taken the payee from you, right? So essentially, the company is saying, we have taken this payee from you. They've advised the state inland revenue service. You still have got to go file and show all that payee that the company has taken from you. If your income is not more than 800,000, you will pay zero taxes. But you've got to go file so the taxman knows that your income was less than 800K, so you don't pay any tax. I know we're going to come back to this again. So if you want to talk on this, hit me up. Don't do DMs. Try to request to speak or do DMs. That's fine. Now, next topic we're going to talk about is Mr. Kevin Warsh. If you don't know who Kevin Warsh is, that's the new nominee to be the Federal Reserve Chairman in the US. So, of course, the question is, why is a Federal Reserve Chairman nominee important to Nigerians? Well, it's very simple. Nigeria is now connected to the global financial system. You saw the report that showed the top contributors to GDP, right? Nigeria is a big player now in the world, right? But the real reason is this. When you have a Federal Reserve chairman, you can either be dovish or you can be hawkish. Hawkish means that you are very, very, what's the word now? You are going to cut rates to fight inflation. You are going to be very, very aggressive in cutting rates to fight inflation. That means you're a hawk. If you're a dove, you are more, okay, let's wait and see what's going to happen. You're more chilled, right? So when you appoint a Fed chairman that is a hawk, then you are saying or you're anticipating that US interest rates are going to be cut or increased to fight inflation, more or less. I don't want to confuse myself, right? So who is this Kevin guy? Kevin guy was among one of the guys that President Trump had on his short list to be the Fed chairman. The market did not believe Trump would go with Mr. Kevin Warsh because he's a very, very, he's a safe pick. If you look at his CV, youngest Fed governor, he was a Fed governor at 35 years old. He's a lecturer in Stanford. He's on the board of governors representative to the G20. He's on the board of governors. He's the board of governors administrative governor. He's on President Trump's cabinet for something to do with the economy and all that. So very accomplished guy, but he's not a quote unquote politician. There are other folks that are there that would have maybe done what Mr. Trump wants the Fed to do, which is to reduce interest rates as fast as possible. The market was betting on someone else. So if you look at last week, you saw gold, you saw silver go up in price because the market was betting that there's going to be uncertainty, right? If somebody else was appointed, it would be uncertainty and the dollar would fall. So last week, about Monday, Tuesday, you saw dollar falling, you saw gold and silver going up. Trump appoints Mr. Kevin Warsh, all that gets reversed. You see the dollar going up, you see gold and silver coming down as that trade is being unwound. So Mr. Kevin is seen by the market as a very, very safe pick for the position of the Federal Reserve. What does this mean for Nigeria? If interest rates in America go down, it helps the naira. Why? If you have a dollar and you had to invest in America, you would again right now, if you want to do a seed in America, they will pay you anywhere from say 2% to say 4%. That's what they will pay you, 2% to 4%. If rates go up, so let's say inflation goes up, and the US then has to increase interest rates to fight inflation. It's bad for Nigeria because why would an investor ignore 6% rate in America to come and chase rates in Nigeria? There's too much risk in Nigeria. So they'll say, I don't need Nigerian 8% or 10% in their bonds. I can survive with 6% American returns, you see? But when America reduces their rates, which is what Mr. Trump wants, if they reduce their rates, then the Nigerian 6-7% dollar return looks very, very interesting now to investors in America because they can take that risk, and that 6% is an incentive for them to take some risk until they can make some money in Nigeria. So when rates go down in America, the naira tends to do well. Also, oil tends to do well. So, both on an oil trade and on the trade with the naira and Nigeria does well when interest rates in America are lower. So if Mr. Kevin is going to be the guy that's going to fight inflation, if he's going to drop rates, good for Nigeria. If he's going to start to raise rates up to fight inflation, we might be in some issue there. The market believes that he is a steady hand. Steady hand means he's going to go by the data. If rates go up, sorry, if inflation goes up, he's going to increase interest rates, which is not what Mr. Trump wants, which is why they see the market reacting that way. So that's why you have to pay attention to what he says. If you look at the dollar on Tuesday again had gained value, and now the dollar has sort of. We have to watch now what will happen this week with the dollar and Nigeria and the naira. Will the naira now go back from it was about 1394 on it closed the week 1394 Nigerian naira to $1. So it strengthened. The naira was very, very strong last week. So what will happen this week? Will the naira weaken or will it continue this strength? What's helping the naira be strong? Our reserves are now about $46 billion. So Nigeria has a lot of reserves on hand to pay for imports and to act as a buffer to uncertainty. The problem with those reserves Nigeria has is that they are being funded by what we call foreign portfolio investments. So folks are investing in Nigerian bonds, Nigerian equities, they are buying T-bills, they are buying bonds, but that money can easily go out. It's different from when you have, say, foreign direct investment, where people are bringing money into the country to buy land, to buy factories. So FDI can go out. FPIs can flow out faster than FDIs, foreign direct investment. So that's what you're seeing, that the naira is stronger because lots of the Nigerian diaspora are invested in Nigeria because rates in Nigeria in dollar terms, not naira, dollar terms are higher than the same dollar invested in America. What I mean is this: you can buy a Nigerian euro bond or a Nigerian dollar bond and get 8% dollar. If you go to America, you're getting highest 3.5. Even in the UK, you're getting 4%. This is dollar, not naira or pound. So folks will take that risk and say, let me come to Nigeria. But if that changes, or if the FPI money starts to go out, that then becomes a problem for Nigeria. That can we maintain this very, very strong naira? The problem again, guys, is the oil output, not the oil price. Nigeria's budget is $64 per barrel, but we're targeting this time about 1.7. Right now, we're at about 1.4, 1.5. And again, and Shell just shut down Bonga for maintenance. So we've lost about 250,000 barrels. Oil prices are high today because of Iran, but Nigeria is not taking advantage of that high oil price. So if there's any shaking in the economy, oil prices can go to $100. But if we don't increase the production numbers to match $100, then we have lost that opportunity. So the problem for Nigeria has always been the production numbers that we can produce to sell, not just the price of oil, but how much oil can Nigeria pump out and sell. So again, guys, we've done the US, we've done the macro, we've done those big issues. Let's come a bit more local. Last week again, Governor Soludo, governor of Anambra State, closed down the Onitsha main market because he said the traders were doing economic sabotage. So there's this sit-at-home thing they do in the southeast because they are protesting against Nnamdi Kanu. So every Monday, they close down the market. So Mr. Soludo is saying, listen, this has gone on too long. And the Onitsha main market, if you don't know, the Onitsha main market is one of the largest open air markets in all of Africa. In all of Africa, largest market. Is a key contributor to GDP growth, not just in Anambra and the southeast, but of course in Nigeria. So the governor has some point there. You just can't simply close down the market, even if it's a politics of it, you just can't close the market down for this long amount of time. You have that point. The traders also say, listen, governor, we're closing down the market because you haven't given us security, right? You haven't given us security. So if we leave the market open, these guys come to the market and attack us. So we've got to sort of close the market down so we don't get attacked. So that's what's going on here. It's a fight between the economy and insecurity. And who is in charge of the security? Is it the governor or is it the federal government? I think both of them have a point. The governor just can't close the market down for insecurity. He has to guarantee the insecurity. And of course, the traders have got to also see the governor's side. The economy of Anambra, Southeast Nigeria would also improve if the markets are open. There can be accommodation with both of them. The reason why I bring this up is that if you look at the GDP numbers for Nigeria, trade is top 3 contributor to GDP growth in Nigeria. Trade. You've got agriculture, you've got telecom, you've got trade. Trade has not done well in the last 2 years. Trade has not done very, very well. So we're suffering with trade. This would affect trade. So whatever we can do to get trade booming, and trade has suffered because Nigerians are not spending. There's no one has money to spend. So whatever we can do to boost trade is important, not closing the market. So I think both sides have something to say. I'm not sure if closing the entire market is the right thing to do, but the traders also closing the market every Monday might not also be what we want to, right? Again, on local issues, congratulations, Nigeria paid off about 501 billion power sector debts that was being owned from the discos to the gencos. Guys, it's a complicated thing, but in summary, we have this system whereby the federal government owns the transmission lines, then you have the private sector owning the generation lines, and the private sector also owning the distribution lines. There's a lot of issues where we generate power, but the discos can't take the power and all that kind of stuff. So it has created a lot of debts. Gencos can generate power, discos can't take it on. So somebody is owing someone. It's just clogged up the system. So what the federal government did was to come in and issue bonds and say, listen, we're going to pay off this power sector bonds, this power sector debt. We're going to issue bonds. That's the picture right here. I'm sharing it on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, I'm sharing all these visuals. You see the visuals of the DMO, DG, with the 4 participants there showing off the signing ceremony for the 5 billion, so 500 billion, 7-year, 70.50 series bond. It was oversubscribed, right? So investors like this bond. They rushed it, more than 100% oversubscribed this bond. Again, this goes back to the point we're making. If you're an investor in Nigeria today, the market seems to favor you than if you're like a trader, because traders are borrowing cash at a high interest rate, but investors are just making easy money. You buy a bond, you get this high rate of return, and you're good. It's even a real rate of return. Remember, inflation officially in Nigeria is now below 14, but the bond is paying you 17. So just on paper, you're making a real return of about 3, right? 3% on that. So again, it just highlights that whole idea of, listen, Nigeria seems to be paying off this debt and getting its power sector ready for growth. So some good news there, I would say, on that front with the power guys. Again, on that good news, Nigeria was in Turkey to pursue a trade deal. I think they're looking at about 5 billion in terms of trade that can come from Turkey. I like this move to go to Turkey. Turkey is a very, very unique country, right? So Turkey is both Europe and Asia. They're just in the middle. Geographically, even in the way they think, it's both they are, you can say they are Arab, you can say they are Caucasian, you can say they are European. They are just in the middle of everything, right? And Turkey wants new markets. Turkey's like your China, but they really, really are interested in getting new markets, not just in Africa, also across the world. So they are in Nigeria a lot. If you go to Nigeria, you see lots of Turkish goods now. There's a Turkish good in Abuja. There's a lot of Turkish armaments also in the military. Attack helicopters used to be Russian. Now they are Turkish and all that kind of stuff. So they really want to make that partnership stick. This is the kind of of nation, right, that is going to be interested in doing real investment in Nigeria. China used to be a big, big, big contributor to Nigeria's growth a long time ago, but they've sort of eased off. I'm not sure why they've eased off, but China sort of eased off how they trade with Nigeria. Now, Turkey can come in and perhaps fill that void. They won't give a lot of loans, but what they will give you is a lot of, should we say, investment. Their guys really want to come to Nigeria. So they look like a cheaper alternative to China and, of course, to the West. And I think Nigeria should pursue this agreement in agriculture, in defense, in tourism, pursue it really, get this funds in here. Let's create some growth like that in Nigeria. And I think it's a good one that we're chasing that down, if you ask me my opinion on that, right? Okay, so and of course the president is there. I'm not sure if he's back, but that's a different topic entirely. If he's back from his trip to Turkey. So what's at the final thing? We're coming to a close on my 30 minutes, guys. And if you guys want to speak, that's fantastic. If you guys don't want to speak, I see your DMs. Oh my God, that's hard to read, but I see your DMs. Shell, this is perhaps my good news of the week. Shell is investing about 20 billion, or Shell is saying that they are reviewing to invest a lot in the Nigerian oil and gas. The number that is being quoted, I heard the guy speaking, the Shell guy speaking. They want to do an FID for a project is ongoing, and they want to see if they can move that FID total. They are buying up, I believe a company is leaving Nigeria. I'm not sure, I don't quote it. A company is leaving, they want to buy up their rights, and they want to then do more investments. I'm hearing the number 20 billion being mentioned. Again, this money is not going to come. What's the good part? The good part of this story is that money is coming to Nigeria, not just foreign portfolio investments, is foreign direct investments. So Shell is going to bring in equipment, they're going to bring in personnel, they're going to invest to boost our oil output. So number one, we get the investment. Number two, we get the boost in oil output. So it's very, very good news. Number three, it also signals to the oil players across the world that Nigeria is, open for business. One thing Mr. Tinubu has done since he became president is that he has focused really on that oil sector. GDP growth that you see, the GDP growth you see has come from crude oil, not non-oil, crude oil. Crude oil has driven the growth. As a matter of fact, crude oil in quarter three fell about 20 points and still is the contributor to growth in Nigeria. So we've gone back to crude oil, we've boosted that growth. Non-oil growth is flat. Look at your GDP report, it's flat. What's going up is crude oil. So this is going to be a big, big, big statement of intent should Shell come through and invest 20 billion. That's the good part. What's the bad part? Number one, this money is not going to come tomorrow. Even if Shell says we're going to do 20 billion, it takes time. They're going to do stage one, stage two, they will invest, but it takes time. This will come even after Mr. Tinubu has served one or even two terms, right? So it's not going to money that's going to come today, but it's good intent that this is coming. Number two, we are now not diversifying away from crude oil. Whilst we want the investment, I wish this was an investment in, say, agriculture or telecoms. The truth is that Nigeria has got to diversify out of crude oil. We just can't have an economy where 85% of our foreign revenues come from one source. And that's what's going on right now, right? The largest Nigerian non-oil export is cocoa. It's nothing. Cocoa, cashews, they're nothing if you compare them to what we get from crude oil. And we've been a nation for about since 1960. We can do better. We can diversify our foreign exchange sources and not have to rely on just that the crude oil. So it's a good thing, but it's like taking sugar in your tea. It tastes good, but you're getting hooked on sugar. So I really wish Nigeria had found a way to diversify away from oil. I want the investment, but I wish we were doing this for other sectors. Well, imagine if we were bringing in 20 billion for manufacturing. That would be so much win-win across the board. So this is good, but I want us to do more for the oil sector. Yeah, I see your DM. 20 billion is the total he's saying he will do. I don't think they've committed yet to even the 20 billion, but he's saying that they will do 20 billion. But there's some, he said, if you listen to his conference, that he has already committed, that Shell has already committed to doing, i.e., buying off that third party that is leaving Nigeria. But 20 billion is what they said they are still reviewing. They are the final investment decision to see if they will do that. It's good news. All this news is good because it tells other folks that, listen, come to Nigeria and invest because Shell has come to Nigeria. So it's good news. I'll take it. I will take it and bank it under the good news side. So we've talked all this good stuff. Let's come home to a bit of reality. The Nigerian national grid collapsed twice in 3 days last week. Twice in 3 days last week. I mean, what's going on with national grid? I'm not a power sector guy, but you can't grow anything without power. If Shell brings in $100 billion and there's no power in the economy, then nothing's going to happen. You know, I don't know why it's collapsing. You read, they'll tell you it's from one substation here once, but we've been at this for quite a while. And we can't seem to fix power. We can't seem to fix power. It seems like this is a generational, curse on the economy of Nigeria that we can't fix power. I don't know what to do. When the president was the governor of Lagos, he brought Enron to Lagos and he tried to power Lagos. That didn't work out because the federal government said no to that deal. Now he's the president and he has done a good thing. I think he has passed a law to deregulate power. So states can now generate, distribute, and transmit, as I hear. So states should take advantage of that, right? And go back and build their own mini grids. We can't have a grid in Nigeria where power is generated from Delta, then it's driven on the grid from Delta State to Maiduguri. This is just because of the law of physics. Look at the distance. When I was in school, I did a little bit of physics. That's what they call resistance. Imagine moving power from the south of Nigeria all the way to the north of Nigeria. The north has got lots of land. They can do solar power with batteries and they can have power. The south has lots of gas. They can do thermal. The middle belt has lots of wind. They can do wind power. The point is you've got to mix this whole thing up, generate power. Hydro is in Niger State. They generate hydro. Then have a market where folks can go buy power. You generate income for the state. You're able to fix these issues of having this one single grid. I think that one single grid is our problem in Nigeria because it's just one grid. So even if your grid is performing, even if your own power sector is performing, if you're on the grid, it will collapse. I think only Abia is off the national grid. So in Aba, they have their own ring-fenced grid out of the national grid because the geometric guys were able to ring-fence Aba out of the Enugu distribution network. So apart from that, we have to do more of that. Ring-fenced, Lagos should have its own grid. Lagos alone should have its own grid because it's just so big. It should just have its own grid. Then you have to break these grids down. So one sector, one substation failing in Maiduguri doesn't cause the entire nation to fail. But that's a big, big, big Achilles heel for Nigeria, that we can't have power. Nothing can happen if Nigeria doesn't have power. Nothing at all. All right, folks. So what am I looking forward to this week? This week is going to be really a few questions. Number one, where's Mr. President? Number two, where's the budget? Right? Those are the issues that we have to talk around this week. We need the president to come back. We need to see a budget. We need to see movement on the budget, right? We've seen all the paperwork. Let's just see some movement on this budget. Lots of things have been said there. Also on the tax reform, where are we on that? Are we going to keep on? Has the noise about the duplication gone down? And are we now going to see implementation? I don't know what's going to happen. If so many people are not going to pay taxes or don't understand taxes, can we really talk around that we want to do a new tax law? This tax law is an American style system of self assessment. Even in America today, we're in tax paying season, right? Many folks still in America today do not understand paying taxes. This is America that has the IRS, that they have their tax advisors, they have all that stuff. Even till today, many Americans do not understand taxes. So then you then ask yourself, how can then we hope that Nigerians will just go from zero to understanding taxes immediately? I don't know, guys. I don't know. So that's my take. I'm going to read a few DMs. If you want to speak, this is your opportunity. We're just going to be here for an hour. So technically, we have got about maybe 25 minutes to go. I'll read a few DMs and then we'll just see if we can. Yeah. Can you speak more on tax filing? I work for a bank and my payee has been paid. Why should I file taxes? My company has already filed taxes. Your question is the question everyone seems to get wrong, Mr. Tokbe. Your question is what everyone seems to get wrong. Your payee is simply pay as you earn. So all your company has done is to hold that part of your taxes. They've held back a part of your taxes to say, we're not going to give you this tax, this income. We're going to hold it back and we're going to give it to the state inland revenue service. So you are correct. Your employer has taken that part that is income and has sent it to the tax authorities and has put on your pay stub payee tax deducted, taking it out and sent to the inland revenue. What you then need to do, Tokpa, is you need to then go and file what we call a statement of return. That statement of return, you will then say tax paid. You will quote what your employer told you they've paid to the Inland Revenue Service. You will quote it there. If that's all the income you make, you have no other income. You also put your rent, you also put your pencom, you put all that stuff. If that's all that you're going to do, then your taxes would mirror what you already did with payee. But I suspect that many folks in Nigeria might have other things that they are doing that are income that your employer would not know about. Many of you might have a store at home or might have income at home or might pay rent that you haven't told your employer. So how would your employer know? So what you've got to do is to file. It is the filing of that statement of income where you would list exactly what you have done. It is that paperwork that the FIRS, now called the Nigerian Revenue Service, not federal, the state, will then say, yes, you have paid your taxes, and in 2026, which you have paid in 2027, you are good to go. Again, it can't be something that you say your employer has paid for you. Your employer cannot pay taxes for you. Your employer will remit money from your pay stub, but you have to file taxes, right? Tokbe? File your own tax. Ace Cannon, what's going on, sir?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Kalu.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Mondays Mornings with Kalu. How can I help?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. What's on your mind?
All right, so it's about the tax. I heard what you said. So my question was, how does the tax law affect students?
Oh, students, right?
Students that are earning income too, but then they are still students. So maybe they have something on the side that.
Yeah, so everyone that earns income will file a tax, even a baby. If a 1-year-old baby is a model in a TV ad, that baby has earned income. That baby has to file taxes. So what should happen? The parents would file taxes for the baby. In your instance, you're a student. Let's say you're a student and you're doing, I don't know, what do you do? What's your income in your as a student? Tell me.
Okay, it's crypto related.
Okay, let's say you are buying and selling crypto and you made 100,000 naira as a student. So what you want to do, remember that The FI, the State Inland Revenue Service would have a record of your trading from the exchange that you are trading with. So they will have a record showing that this NIN or this BVN earned this amount of money. So you then have to go file a tax that would say, I earned 100,000 from trading Bitcoin in 2026. The law says if you earn below 800,000 naira, you will not pay any tax. So when you file that you earn 100,000, your tax due would be zero. That's all you need to do. So for 2026, you are cleared because you earned 100,000. If you earned 1 million, you will pay tax on the 200,000 if you don't pay rent, right? So it's just what you, that's why it's very, very important that you file, because when you file, then you are taking away that, uncertainty that somebody will come back and say you didn't pay tax. Does that make sense, sir?
Yeah, it does. So I have follow-up questions from listening to what you just said. So students that don't earn any income, they don't have to pay.
No,
Then
they have to, everybody has to file. Let's say you're a student and you earn zero, you didn't make any income. You will file a tax return to say I made zero. You hear what I'm saying? You've got to file. Filing is like you are saying I didn't make any income, then the taxman will say you are good. Because if you don't file, and tomorrow you graduate and you get a job, right? And the taxman in 5 years does an audit and sees that your uncle sent you money. It wasn't income, it was just money for you to give to your mother. The taxman can say, wow, you earned money 5 years ago, you didn't pay tax. I'm going to give you a what they call a best of judgment. You can come and can say, no, I paid my taxes. I'm not owing the taxman. You see? So you are good. That's why you want to file to get that clearance. Yeah? Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Fantastic.
Thank you for letting me up.
You are very welcome. Yeah, so this will answer question. Kalu, I don't agree with saying that the traders have closed the market. The traders are closing the market because of insecurity. Mr. Suludo did not come to the market for 4 years. He's only come to the market because he has won re-election, so he can close the market because he knows just not. I hear where you're going to with this. Yeah, the point I'm making is very simple. Both of you are right. The governor is the governor of the economy. You are the generator of income to that economy. I think both of you have to meet yourselves halfway. I don't think it's okay to close the market down completely. I mean, you're at home. You are saying you're at home. You're not earning any money. You're not happy. The governor also should not be happy that Anambra is not earning income, right, for this period. So I think there has got to be a middle ground. There's got to be security for that market, and there's got to be also the market has got to be able to function. Like you're saying, nobody wants to close the market down, but you are reacting to external forces. I hear you. So there has to be a middle ground. Because, like I said, it's not just a tiny market. It's not a small market. This is a massive market that we have in Anambra. Like I said, it's one of the largest open air markets in all of Africa, not Nigeria, in all of Africa. So you just don't close that market down arbitrarily, right? So that's just what I'll say to that. I hear you, but that's what I'll say to that. Somebody's talking about the Naira appreciation. Where do you think Naira would be this time next week? We don't know. We don't give advice on the show. We just give you the news. The point we're making is that the Naira, when you look at the Naira rising, remember it's a double trade. Currencies do not go up on their own. Currencies go up because another currency went down. It's called a pair. So if Naira is going up, that means dollar is going down. So there are two ways of looking at the Naira number. Ask yourself, is the Naira economy going to boom that will cause the Naira to go up? Or will the US economy sort of falter that will cause the dollar to go down? And if you have that answer, both will be correct. If Nigeria booms, the currency goes up. If the US falters, the currency goes down. But remember, the developed world does not want strong currencies. The United States does not want a strong currency. China does not want a strong currency. Japan, EU, they don't want a strong currency. They don't want a weak currency like Venezuela, right, or Zimbabwe, but they don't want a currency that is so strong that their exports become expensive. So literally, if you make your currency strong artificially, the United States of America will sanction you because they will think that you are trying to get to sort of to forge the market to then get a lot of returns. So it's very, very important to understand that the weak currency is an advantage. The reason why we don't see the weak currency as an advantage in Nigeria is because we're not taking advantage of the weak currency. If our currency in Nigeria is weaker, that means our cocoa is cheaper, our cashew is cheaper, our guys that do outsourcing are going to earn more, right? So we're not taking advantage of that opportunity. That's why when we're complaining about a weak naira, Korea has the weak won. Have you heard anyone complaining in Korea that their currency is too weak? Japan has yen notes, 1,000. Have you seen anyone in Japan saying, oh, we have 1,000 to 1? So keep that in mind. Just keep it in mind that you want to have a currency that aligns with your national objectives. Nigeria's national objective is to export crude oil. That's how we make our money. So if our objective is to export crude oil, then we want a weaker naira. But it has to be a weaker naira that is planned, not one that is forced upon us. When we get weaker naira, we get more per dollar earned. And we can then use that weaker naira to then do infrastructure in Nigeria. Hope that makes sense, right? Okay. Let's look at another one. Yeah, you were talking. Let me go to the slide. You are asking a question about taxes. Lots of questions here about taxes. Yes, everybody has to file. Companies is January 2027. Individuals is March 2027. Individuals file to their state inland revenue. Companies file to the federal inland revenue. VAT is a state tax, but it is collected by the federal government. VAT is state and local government, but collected by the federal. Federal only retains, I believe, 10% of VAT. And the way they do the sharing, the bulk of the VAT is now shared, not the bulk, but I think they do more of derivation. So if you use a phone call and that phone call is generated in, say, in the state and tempting another state, you will share a bit of the revenues from that phone call. So VAT has changed a bit. Withholding tax, I see your question, is on the interest you are earning, not on the principal. So if you put money in a bank in Aba and the bank in Aba pays you interest, then you are going to pay withholding tax where the interest is generated. But remember, this is a federal tax. The only state tax you have is PE and VAT, but VAT is collected by the federal government. Everything is shared, everything goes to VAT. Only PE does not go to FAC. That's a good way of looking at it. Only PE does not go to FAC. The rest, VAT goes to FAC. I don't know why VAT should go to FAC. It doesn't make any sense. But it goes. So that's a way to look at it. Yeah. All right, guys, we've got about how many minutes more? About 10 minutes more, and we'll call it a day. Yeah, the macro, please explain. I heard you talked about the stock market was not doing too well. No, I said the stock market volumes. If you look at the volume for Nigeria, the all share index went down by 0.09 last week, and then the market cap appreciated by 0.18. So not only too extravagant there. Year to date, the all share index is about 6% year to date. So we're doing about 6%. We came up about 50, now doing about 6%. And if you look at the visual I'm sharing, we break down the Nigerian all share index into sectors. So you have the pension index that's doing well about 8%. If you're looking for banking, there's an NGX bank value index of about 12%. I think the best performing sector right now is the value index, I believe, for bank. Oh, hold on. The growth index is about 53%, right? Consumer goods about, no, oil and gas about 13%. So oil and gas is doing better than manufacturing in terms of the stock market, but it's all there for you. So volumes are not yet that exciting, but again, early days and we're already at 6%. So we're doing rather good there. Fantastic. This is also a question on taxes. Okay, guys, not all of you are asking questions on taxes. I get it, but saying you will not pay, in my view, not a good way to do it. I think you have to look for what you can push and say they should change, right? Let me give you a good example. Most of this stuff they're asking to file personal income taxes. The data is supposed to come from your employer, the bank, or the investment house you are dealing with. You are not supposed to guess and file. We keep on saying keep your records, but in reality, you are not supposed to be the one to keep that record, right? What I mean is this: if I take money and I put money in a bank and the bank pays me interest, at the end of the year, the bank is supposed to tell me this is how much you had at the bank, this is how much interest we paid you, and this is how much tax you should pay. This is not the bank statement. This is not my statement of account. This is the bank telling me how much interest they paid me for the fiscal year and how much I should file in taxes. The bank should tell you. Same with your stockbroking firm. So stockbroking firm, because you guys know when you trade with Robinhood or these other foreign firms, they give you a statement, your 1099. They'll tell you you bought this share, you sold this share, this is your tax. So all that should be given to you. Then you should then use that to file your taxes. So when Mr. Taiwo says everyone must file by March, Mr. Taiwo should also go and tell the banks, the stockbroking firms, the insurance companies that you should make sure you give your statements to these Nigerians at least January of 2027. Because why should I keep records? I mean, it sounds funny, but under what law says I should keep records? What law? It's a personal responsibility. I get it, but I am doing business with your firm. The same way VAT, if you collect VAT from me, you keep records, you give me a receipt. Exactly the same thing. The companies, the banks, insurance companies, your landlord, all these folks must give you a record to say, this is how much business you did with us this year. And based on this is how much tax you should pay. You take what the bank has given you as your tax due on interest earned. That's what you pay tax on, not what you calculated. Same with your capital gains. If you buy and sell shares, the stockbroking firm should give you a report to say, in 2026, you bought and sold shares. This is what you are owing. It's for them to tell you. So, that's why I'm saying sort of pause so that we can explain all this and companies can get ready. I mean, think of it, look at it yourself. If you are a bank, you have to generate this report to every single customer. That means if you have a checking account, you won't pay tax, Abi, because they're not paying you interest. It's on savings account, it's on fixed deposits, it's on bonds, it's on the interest you earn from the bank. That's what you pay that withholding tax on. So again, we have to get these things right so that we don't ask Nigerians. Because people, what if I don't know maths? What if I don't know economics, right? So we have to help people. The employer also, your employer has to give you a report, and that report will state that this is the taxes we have paid for you. This is the tax you should file in your tax filing. So the employer, the vendors should give you a tax report, and that's what you're going to use to file. Hope that makes sense. That's how it's supposed to be done, right? Nigeria can't copy America taxes and ignore American tax administration. We've got to do everything together. 5 more minutes, guys. Let me see if I can. I'm just going to see if I can see a new comment, and then we'll take it on. Let me see. This one is on Turkey. You know, guys don't even go there. Yeah, China has left Nigeria. No, China. Yeah, I'm not saying China has left Nigeria. I'm saying that China has sort of pulled back. If you remember, China under Goodluck was funding all our airports, all our railways, and everything. Now they're not doing a lot. They've pulled out from the gas pipeline we're building from Delta State to Kano Kaduna. That was being funded by China. They've pulled out from that. So Turkey might not give us a lot of money. And again, the Americans are back in Africa in a big way. I think it was last year I saw a report that America did more loans to African nations than China. I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised. America did more loans, development, when I mean loans, development loans, same thing China has been doing. Americans have sort of merged three companies, three institutions to then focus on lending in Africa to counter China. So America is there. If you want to get money for green energy, for railways, America is funding a railway in Angola, I believe. So they are in Africa. So we've got more people that we can go to. We all don't have to go to China. That's why I like the Turkish deal, that they bring trade, not just loans. They're into trade. So we should be able to maximize that relationship and create jobs locally. All right, guys. So we're about to wind down. Let me just say, this is just the first one I want to do. I'm going to try to do this every Monday, right? Every Monday. Just so we talk around just the business, even bringing some political economy into the take, and then just see where we are in terms of Nigeria. Now, you guys have a bit of more understanding of what happened last week. By this week, we're going to just really talk around. So this week, we're going to monitor the event. So when we have this session again on Monday next week, we're telling you what happened last week and what we're looking out for again in the coming week. And we hope that this becomes a place where you can tune in as you're driving to work, you can hear what's going on in the economy and hear how it impacts you. I want to make it very, very simple English. I don't want to use a lot of financial language when I'm speaking, just so that we can understand and follow. And I think it's a great thing to do. Not a lot of folks online are doing finance and economic content. I want to do that, and because I want to educate and I want us to build a country together. So I will count on your support to be here next week and to also share and to tell your friends about what we're doing every Monday with me. If you do have questions, send to me to a DM. Be very specific, just says for Monday mornings, you want to talk around this, and I'll be sure to do that on your behalf. So, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. We got to go now. I'll see you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I wish you guys the very best. Thank you so much for listening in. I'll see you next Monday, 7 a.m. Don't be late. We'll talk again. Take care.